Hello everyone. Today I'm going to quickly answer one of the questions we had here in the comments. I thought it might be nice to, not just write, because usually I just write in the comments, but I think it's nice to actually share it a bit and sort of highlight this because I think this is a very valid question. So I'm making a video about it. So Dhoongi, and sorry if I'm butchering your name, I'm just going to call you Dhoongi and I hope it's fine with you. Dhoongi basically wanted to know if the job offer they got from a Swiss employer is a good offer, and if you can live from this with a wife and who I think doesn't earn their own salary, and basically also a bit about health insurance. I'm trying to keep this short because I made a few videos about some of the details I'm going to talk about. So generally, Dhoongi told us they're making about 90k brutto in Germany right now, in Essen, which is a city in the north of Germany. It's not one of the most popular or most rich cities in Germany. It used to be in the former coal mining region of Germany when that was still a thing a couple of decades ago in Germany. And this is important to consider because while Essen is sort of a not so rich city, it doesn't necessarily mean that you would actually get a higher salary in a rich city like Zurich. Because maybe, so 90k generally it's a high salary for a senior developer. Even in Munich, this would be seen as a high salary. So maybe somebody is paying you a big premium to be in Essen, and even in Munich or Hamburg, you would actually make less money because there's more people in these more popular cities who could do the same. And equally in Zurich, Geneva, Basel, and so on. So keep this in mind. Even though you have a very high salary for Essen, it doesn't necessarily mean that you automatically have a very high salary based on local numbers in other cities in the world, including Zurich. And also you didn't write where that would be because keep in mind Switzerland might not be big or not look big if you look on the map, but Switzerland is very different. Whether you live in Zurich or Geneva maybe doesn't even make such a big difference, but if you go to Bern, for example, salaries are different and so is the cost of living. Or if you go to the south of Switzerland like Vallis and Ticino, the cost of living and the salary levels are wildly different. So in Lugano, for example, you can't expect the same salaries that you would get in Zurich, but also your cost of living will be lower. So this makes a big difference, even if Switzerland isn't that big on the map. Yeah, we don't know it here because you didn't write us, but feel free to follow up and let us know what city this would be. Generally speaking, 100k brutto salary in Switzerland, and by Switzerland, actually, I mean Zurich, Geneva, Basel, or Zug, so basically the big industrial cities, if you will. It's not a very high salary. In Zurich, for example, 100k is roughly the salary a good, but a junior developer would get. If they come from a good university, be it ETH Zurich, EPFL, Harvard, Oxford, whatever, they would typically get a 100k salary with no real experience, maybe some internship, but not many years of software development experience in their field. And of course, it depends on the tech stack. So if you do PHP, K is probably already a decent salary because PHP is not very popular in Switzerland. You're not going to find many other jobs in PHP. Nothing against PHP here. I did it myself many years ago, but it's just not popular in Switzerland, so you're not going to have a high salary. If you do Java, that's better, but also Java, it's not like a super special thing anymore. There's a lot of Java developers. If you do something more special or hype-ish, like something with AI, you might actually get a much higher salary. Or if you're a Rust developer, or pretty much anything that is both highly, highly specialized, and also there's a lot of demand in Switzerland, which is super important, right? It's not only about supply or specialty. You might be the only person who can do it, but if nobody wants you to do it, then you're not going to get a very high salary. So keep this in mind. Very much depends on your tech stack, but generally 100k isn't that much. Also, and again, I'm referencing more like Zurich or Geneva or Basel here. You might actually get in trouble with the cost of living, especially if you have a wife who I think, based on your comment, does not have their own salary, and maybe down the line you have kids. I would actually say this is not enough for an expat. Because keep in mind, the people who already live in Switzerland like forever because they're Swiss or for 10 years, they often have a lower rent than you. You're going to pay more rent because you get a new contract. And also you don't know the country so well yet. So there's a lot of optimizations which you don't know yet unless you book a consulting with me, then I can give you all the shortcuts. But typically you're gonna pay more. Your cost of living is going to be higher than of most people who live there, including expats who live there longer than you. So 100K in Zurich, Geneva, Basel, Zug, probably not enough unless you're single. And also just to give you a reference, if you're really good, if you do something special in Zurich or Geneva, maybe you might be making more like 150, maybe even 180K in something more specialized if you're a senior developer with a couple of years of experience and if that tech stack is in high demand. But of course, keep in mind, you can't just go to any company and demand this, because some companies, they want you to do PHP, and it's not going to be a high salary in PHP in Zurich these days, no matter how good you are. I think, again, nothing against PHP. It's just a market reality. So much about the salary. You also touched the topic of health insurance. I made another video about it. Please watch it if you want to know all the details. So you're writing about having a zero deductible about health insurance. This, in short, is not possible. The minimum deductible you're going to have, it's 300 Swiss francs per year and person. And usually it's actually better if you take the highest deductible of 2,500 Swiss francs per year. It just pays off. The premiums are much lower. So unless you have chronic diseases and unless you basically are going to max out that franchise, as the deductible is called, more or less, every year, it doesn't pay off to take a low deductible. It pays off to take the highest deductible, typically. But it's a different discussion. And there's also, of course, the aspect of philosophy. Also, monthly rent, I want to mention this. So you mentioned 2,100 Swiss francs, which I think is the number I mentioned in one of the other videos. This is definitely a good number if you're single, or if you're a very frugal couple. It could also work for you in Zurich. But if you want a nicer apartment, maybe you have kids someday, you're going to need more. I would budget more with like 3,000, 3,500. If you're not a single, if you live in a different part of Switzerland, like Valais, Ticino, Graubünden, or even, on the countryside in some of the other cantons, your rent could be lower, or for 2,000 Swiss francs per month, you can get something really, really nice. So highly depends on what city are we talking about. Are we talking about one of the big cities? Do you have to be in the office every day, or more like a couple of days per week? Then the situation could look very different. And again, I recommend watching my video about Valais and Ticino. I think especially for people who make around 100K, it can be very, very interesting to live in these cantons, because there you have a much higher value. You can get way lower rents. The cost for everything is a bit lower. So if you can basically afford to be on site in the office wherever it is, only a couple of times per month, definitely consider Valais, Ticino, maybe even Graubünden, because there's way more space. Sometimes you get some free stuff if you bring your kids there and so on. And so many people, they still focus on the big cities. I think this isn't a good idea. Don't fight for those 3,000 Swiss francs per month flats in Zurich. If you can get something much more decent for the same price, or even much cheaper in a different part of Switzerland. We live in the age of remote work, or hybrid work at least, so use those opportunities. That's about it. If you have more questions, please let us know in the comments. I'm happy to answer more questions like this. I think I'm going to make more videos with specific questions from you guys in the future, so please keep them coming. You can also write me in private or so if you don't feel comfortable to comment. Just let me know how much I can talk about your specific situation, please, so I don't reveal anything you don't want me to reveal. I hope this helps, Dhoongi. And see you guys in the next video. And of course, please click like, subscribe, because this helps me to, rate what kind of stuff you guys are interested in. And then see you in the next video.